Have you ever found yourself wishing for like a user manual for navigating the complexities of modern life?
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Something that could maybe provide a clear path through, the daunting tasks of building true wealth and maybe even more importantly, discovering genuine, lasting happiness.
It feels like we need one sometimes, doesn't it? Especially with those two things. They seem huge.
They really do. Well, if that resonates with you, then you're absolutely in the right place today. We're about to embark on a really fascinating journey, a depth dive into the insights of a truly unique individual, Naval Ravikant.
Naval, yeah.
He's a figure who's, remarkable blend of entrepreneurial success, in the tech world, and profound philosophical wisdom offers precisely that kind of transformative guidance.
It's quite rare, isn't it, to find someone who's achieved that level of, let's say, tangible success, investor or entrepreneur, but who can also articulate such clear, actionable, and really deeply philosophical insights on well-being and life itself.
Totally. His approach is so refreshing because it isn't about chasing fleeting trends or quick fixes.
No, not at all.
Instead, he offers these foundational shifts in how we perceive and operate in the world, particularly around these two critical pillars, wealth and happiness.
That clarity is what stands out. It cuts through a lot of noise.
Exactly. And that's why we're so excited to welcome you to The Deep Dive here on BookCast FM.
Bringing books to life, one cast at a time.
That's the one. Today, our focus is The Almanack of Naval Ravikant, a really unique book compiled by Eric Jorgenson.
Mm-hmm. It's not your typical book.
Right. It isn't a traditional biography or, linear narrative you read cover to cover.
But more like a collection.
Yeah, a meticulously curated collection of Naval's most potent insights on wealth, happiness, decision-making, personal growth, all distilled from years of his public appearances, his tweets, interviews.
And that's a key distinction, I think. The book itself functions more like maybe a timeless guidebook or a reference manual.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
It's incredibly dense with wisdom, super quotable, and it feels designed to be opened at random, pondered, revisited.
Mm-hmm.
This kind of nonlinear, wisdom-packed format makes it absolutely perfect for what we aim to do here on The Deep Dive. It lets us extract the core principles, the actionable insights, for a really focused, impactful exploration.
And that, for you, our curious listener, is exactly our mission today. We're not here just to, summarize the book. We want to go much, much deeper.
Right.
Our goal is to extract the most important, resonant nuggets of knowledge, offer actionable insights you can actually apply, and, provide a genuine shortcut to being well-informed on these critical life areas without feeling totally overwhelmed.
Because there's a lot out there on these topics.
There really is. And I'm personally incredibly excited to unpack Naval's unique philosophy because, as you mentioned, his approach just cuts through so much conventional noise with this surprising clarity and refreshing honesty you just don't often find.
What consistently fascinates me about his work is how he seamlessly integrates what might seem like totally separate concepts, the very practical external pursuit of wealth,
right,
with the deeply internal, almost spiritual cultivation of happiness.
Yeah, they seem like opposites sometimes.
But he fundamentally argues that these two pursuits, when you truly understand them and pursue them correctly, they're not at odds at all.
Really?
Yeah, in fact, they're profoundly synergistic. One can, and maybe should, actually fuel the other.
Okay, intriguing. All right, let's unpack this. We're going to start our deep dive with the first major section of the Almanack, which is dedicated to wealth, specifically titled How to Get Rich Without Getting Lucky.
A very naval title.
It is. And I have to say, his perspective on wealth is genuinely unconventional, and I think for many, incredibly liberating. It really fundamentally changes your whole mindset around what getting rich actually means.
Okay, so Naval starts by fundamentally redefining what wealth is, and this is where his philosophy immediately kind of sets itself apart.
Right off the bat.
Yeah. He makes this crucial distinction. He asserts that wealth isn't primarily about piling up vast sums of money in a bank account, nor is it about chasing external status symbols.
Yeah.
The fancy cars, big houses, designer stuff.
The usual suspect.
Exactly. For Naval, wealth is, at its core, about freedom. Specifically, the profound ability to do what you truly want, when you want, where you want, and maybe most importantly, with whom you want.
That's such a powerful reframing, isn't it? Because society has so deeply ingrained this idea that money is wealth.
Mm-hmm. They're treated as synonyms.
But Naval breaks it down with real precision. He clarifies that money is merely a tool. It's a fungible medium we use to measure and transfer wealth.
It's the scorecard, maybe.
Yeah.
Or the transfer mechanism.
Exactly. It's a means to an end, never the end goal itself. If your sole focus is just accumulating money, you might find yourself still trapped, right? Even with a big bank account, you might still be working constantly because you haven't achieved that underlying freedom wealth represents.
You might just have more expensive problems, as they say, or golden handcuffs.
Right. And then he contrasts this with status.
Ah, yes, status games.
Which he describes as inherently hierarchical and, crucially, a zero-sum game.
Zero sum. That's key.
When you choose to play status games, maybe climbing the corporate ladder or in social circles by definition, someone else often has to lose or be seen as lesser for you to win.
Right. It inherently breeds envy, dissatisfaction, that relentless, often exhausting competition. It's a treadmill.
Yeah, it sounds tiring just talking about it.
Whereas true wealth creation, Naval points out, is a positive-sum game. You genuinely get rich by creating value for others, by enriching their lives in some meaningful way.
So your success isn't at their expense.
Not at all. It's actually a byproduct of the value you've delivered to them. Yeah, everyone can potentially win.
And that really challenges so many of the ingrained societal scripts we've been handed down, doesn't it?
Oh, completely.
You know, the whole go to school, get good grades, find a stable job, trade your precious time for a paycheck, save diligently for this distant retirement that feels like it's always just over the horizon.
The standard path.
Yeah. But Naval argues pretty vehemently that true wealth isn't built primarily through just hourly labor or a traditional salary.
No. That's the slow path, maybe even the path to being trapped.
It's built through ownership, creativity, and engaging in what he calls high-leverage activities.
Leverage. That's another key word.
It's about creating systems, businesses, intellectual property assets, in his terms, that generate income and value while you are sleeping or, doing other things you enjoy.
He also makes a really strong, compelling, ethical case for wealth creation, which I find interesting.
How so?
Well, Naval believes getting rich isn't just ethical, it can be deeply moral if it's pursued through genuine creation, innovation, and self-actualization.
Okay, so not through exploitation or those zero-sum games we talked about.
Exactly, not where someone explicitly loses for you to gain. Entrepreneurs, for instance, they get rewarded for building value for a broad audience. By creating scalable tools, like software code or digital media, they can deliver immense value to millions simultaneously.
Right.
And their financial reward, in his view, is just a direct reflection of the vast value they've created for society. It's a mutual exchange, not a taking.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So the actionable takeaways from this foundational concept seem pretty clear for anyone listening. First, really shift your mindset away from just trading time for money.
Fundamental.
Focus instead on creating something that can inherently scale, something that reaches many people without you needing to be actively involved in every single transaction.
Break the link between inputs and outputs.
Second, prioritize building long-term valuable skills and unique assets over chasing those quick wins or get-rich-quick schemes.
Which he warns are almost always traps.
Right. And third, maybe most crucially, make it your mission to seek equity, not merely salary.
Ownership.
Ownership, he stresses, is the fundamental building block of true, compounding long-term wealth and the freedom it represents.
You see this implicitly in tech all the time, right? Wealth created through scalable product software. Media requires huge upfront effort, but then it can yield exponential returns without proportional extra work per user.
That makes sense. And this leads us right into his next big idea, leverage.
Yeah, and this is where Naval really dives into the mechanics of modern wealth creation. His core message here is that building wealth today fundamentally hinges on leverage.
Okay, so what exactly does he mean by leverage in this context?
It's not just about the old idea of working harder. It's about strategically amplifying your efforts without needing a proportional, linear additional input.
So doing more with less effort, essentially.
Or rather, having your effort multiply its impact far beyond your direct hours. It's about working smarter, strategically allowing your work to scale dramatically.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. He identifies 4 distinct types of leverage, and he draws this sharp distinction between the old forms and the new, more accessible ones.
Right, the classics and the modern one.
First, there's labor leverage, people working for you.
The oldest form, probably.
Useful, sure, but it's limited, right, by how many people you can effectively manage. It needs oversight, coordination.
It requires management skill, and it doesn't scale infinitely. There are bottlenecks.
Then there's capital leverage, investing money to make more money.
Very powerful, obviously. Historically, this was the main game for the wealthy.
But it requires a lot of existing capital to even start.
Exactly. And it often demands high trust. And it's rarely permissionless. You usually need someone, an investor or a bank, to give you that capital, or you need to have already earned a lot.
Okay, so labor and capital are the old forms. What are the new ones he highlights?
This is where it gets transformative for the modern individual. The two new forms are code and media.
Code and media.
Code, for instance, means writing software, algorithms, things that work diligently for you, literally while you sleep.
Like an app or a website script.
Precisely. Once you write the code for an application or a service, it can serve millions globally without you needing to expend extra effort for each new user. This, he stresses, is the essence of permissionless leverage.
Permissionless. I like that term.
You don't need anyone's permission or a huge investment to start coding. The barrier to entry is incredibly low.
And media, how does that work as leverage?
It operates on a very similar principle. Think about creating content that spreads across the internet, a popular YouTube video, a podcast like this one.
Hopefully.
A widely shared blog post, a compelling book. You create it once, investing your time and specific knowledge up front. And then it can be consumed, shared, and valued by an unlimited number of people. It keeps generating value, influence, maybe income long after you created it.
So that's also permissionless leverage.
Absolutely. And its significance today cannot be overstated. The beauty is anyone with a laptop, an internet connection, and the drive to learn can tap into this power. It's fundamentally democratized the ability to build wealth at scale.
Wow. The barrier to entry really is almost non-existent compared to needing massive capital or managing huge teams.
This is a massive shift.
Yeah.
But Naval's broader point here is crucial. Leverage alone isn't some magic bullet.
Right. You need something to leverage with.
Exactly. It must be combined with sound judgment and, most critically, specific knowledge for truly outsized returns. He implicitly introduces this kind of wealth creation formula.
Okay.
Specific knowledge, X's, leverage check accountability, equals wealth. It ties these core ideas together beautifully.
So it's not just having the tools like code or media. It's knowing precisely what unique thing you're doing with those tools, amplifying that ability, and then taking full responsibility for the outcome.
That's it. So putting this into practice, the actionable takeaways are quite clear. First, consciously figure out what kind of leverage best suits your skills and, frankly, your inclinations. Are you a coder, a writer, a capital allocator?
Know thyself, basically.
Pretty much. Second, make it your strategic focus to create something once that can serve many. Scalable media, software products, maybe even a system others can replicate.
Create once, sell twice, or 1,000,000 times.
That's the idea. And third, critically, invest relentlessly in continuous learning. Your knowledge isn't static. It compounds, and it directly fuels your ability to find and apply leverage effectively.
So always be learning.
Always. And make decisions based on long-term impact and compounding potential, not just quick wins. You see this everywhere now. YouTubers building huge media brands, engineers creating apps serving millions.
Right, which naturally leads us to the source of that crucial, unique knowledge that makes this all possible, specific knowledge.
Exactly. We've talked about this incredible power of leverage multiplying your efforts exponentially.
Yeah.
But leverage alone isn't enough, is it?
No, you need to apply it to something truly valuable, something that only you can uniquely bring.
And that, I believe, leads us directly to Naval's concept of specific knowledge, the source of that critical, unique edge.
Okay, so what is specific knowledge? It sounds specific.
It is. And it's not generic, easily acquired information from a textbook or a standard course. It's a rare, highly valuable, and incredibly hard to replicate skill set that is utterly unique to you.
So it's not about getting another standard degree, necessarily.
Not necessarily, no.
Yeah.
It's found by pursuing your genuine, often idiosyncratic curiosity and passion, rather than just conforming to whatever skill set is currently hot or in demand.
Okay.
It's learned through deep hands-on experience, through tinkering, relentless trial and error, almost like a lifelong self-directed apprenticeship. You get it by deeply engaging with something that genuinely fascinates you, often to the point where it doesn't feel like work at all.
And here's one of his most profound insights for identifying it, right? If something looks like play to you, but work to others.
That's the golden signal.
That is a powerful, undeniable clue to your specific knowledge.
Think about that. A concert pianist spending 10 hours practicing intricate scales, totally lost in it, finding joy in the challenge. While for someone else, 15 minutes feels like torture.
Or that programmer debugging code at 3 a.m. loving the puzzle when most people would be pulling their hair out.
Exactly. Naval's genius here is saying, don't fight that internal pull. Don't chase the hot career if it feels like grinding work. Lean into what feels like play for you.
So what did you obsess over as a kid? What do you do on a Sunday afternoon that energizes you?
Right. That weirdness, that niche interest, that's often where your irreplaceable specific knowledge truly lies. It's not something easily taught in a classroom or automated away by AI, making it inherently valuable.
Which immediately implies that if a skill can be easily taught or outsourced cheaply or replaced by AI, then it's not specific knowledge.
By definition, no. True, scalable leverage, then, comes from combining these unique, hard-to-replicate skills where you have an unfair advantage with scale.
Like writing a highly specialized blog at the intersection of weird fields.
Or coding a niche tool for a specific problem. Or building a personal brand around a truly unique perspective. Things that can't just be handed off. They're deeply personal and thus powerful.
He really emphasizes that specific knowledge is discovered, not just taught. Schools, employers. They can't just impart this directly.
No, you find it through relentless exploration, following genuine curiosity, continuous iteration on your natural strengths. It often means embracing a non-linear path.
One that doesn't fit neatly into traditional career boxes.
And this process, by its very nature, leads to authenticity becoming a form of leverage. When you operate from your authentic strengths, that place of genuine curiosity and skill, you create a competitive advantage that simply cannot be copied.
As Naval puts it so powerfully, no one can compete with you at being you.
Exactly. Your unique blend of experiences, passions, skills, it makes you irreplaceable.
So what does this mean for you, our listener? First, take some real time to reflect deeply on your innate talents, those childhood fascinations maybe you dismissed, areas where you naturally excel or get lost in flow.
Dig deep.
Second, commit to following your genuine curiosity relentlessly. It's your compass to specific knowledge.
Trust that inner pull.
Third, resist chasing every trendy field or hot job. Chase what you are naturally pulled toward, even if it seems niche or unconventional.
Authenticity over trendiness.
And finally, once you start identifying and refining it, actively use your specific knowledge in scalable public ways. Content, code, products reflecting your unique insights.
Like that game developer coding since childhood, or the niche content creator blending humor and data science, or Naval himself mixing tech, philosophy, and media.
Right. Okay, so once you've identified and started cultivating that specific knowledge, the next crucial step, according to Naval, is applying it within a strategy that really recognizes the power of time. This brings us to playing the long game.
Yes, the long game. The core message here is undeniably transformative. Success in life and business isn't about one-off wins, quick hacks, or short-term gains.
It's not about instant gratification.
Not at all. It's profoundly about long-term thinking and intentionally forming deep, enduring partnerships with high-integrity people. This is the true power of compounding, extending far beyond just finance.
He famously advises play long-term games with long-term people.
A classic Naval quote. He explains that trust and reputation aren't built overnight. They accumulate steadily, incrementally, powerfully over time.
Like compound interest for relationships.
Exactly. This patient accumulation of trust enables deeper, faster, more effective collaboration with way less friction. Conversely, he strongly warns against opportunistic individuals or partnerships focused purely on short-term gain.
Those inevitably break down, right?
They do. They limit future potential and often leave this trail of distrust. It's about building enduring value, not just quick profits.
And you mentioned this principle of compounding applies universally, not just to money.
Absolutely. Think about how your skills compound over years of practice, how your character and judgment deepen with experience, how your health improves with consistent habits.
And especially relationships.
Especially relationships growing stronger with sustained investment and mutual trust. The earlier you start investing in the right habits and, crucially, connecting with and nurturing relationships with the right people, the greater your long-term, almost insurmountable edge becomes.
So your reputation, then, becomes this incredibly powerful form of long-term leverage itself.
Hugely powerful. It takes considerable time and consistent integrity to build, but once established, a strong reputation creates enormous trust-based leverage.
How does that work practically?
It acts like a magnet. It opens doors to opportunities, attracts top talent, even reduces the need for formal contracts or heavy oversight. because mutual trust is the operating principle.
It becomes like a protective moat around your work.
Exactly. An asset that's incredibly hard for anyone else to replicate. It's truly irreplaceable.
Which is precisely why Naval constantly stresses avoiding those pervasive get-rich-quick mindsets or chasing every shiny new trend.
He sees them as fundamental traps. Sustainable wealth, real success in anything, comes from consistent, deliberate, often slow, long-term value creation. It's often the boring but right consistent work, day in, day out, that yields exponential results over decades.
So for you, our listener, the actionable takeaways here are profound. First, choose your business and personal partners with extreme care. Prioritize unwavering integrity and long-term vision over superficial charm or quick gains.
Be incredibly selective.
Second, actively seek to work with people who show strong ethics, are committed for the long haul, and genuinely invest back into relationships, not just extract from them.
Look for reciprocity and shared values.
Third, be meticulously consistent in your efforts. Doing the boring but right thing repeatedly pays off immensely over time.
Consistency trumps intensity in the long run.
And above all else, protect and consciously grow your reputation. It's your most valuable non-financial asset, a magnet for opportunities that seem like magic but are really the result of years of consistent effort.
Think of someone like Warren Buffett. His wealth is mostly the compounding effect of decades of discipline. Or Naval's own network, built painstakingly over years through trust and shared vision.
The idea of playing the long game, building reputation, it naturally leads to the critical concept of embracing accountability, doesn't it?
Absolutely, because if you're genuinely building for the long term, if your reputation is on the line, then you have to be willing to stand by your work and your decisions.
That makes perfect sense. Naval's core message here is exceptionally clear, maybe even challenging. If you aspire to achieve truly great things, and if you want to access and use powerful leverage effectively, you must be fundamentally willing to take responsibility.
And crucially, to do so both publicly and personally.
Right. Society, he argues, disproportionately rewards those rare individuals willing to put their name on the line, who stand squarely behind their work, their vision, their decisions, absorbing both the praise and the blame.
What's particularly insightful is how accountability directly attracts and amplifies leverage. When you are truly accountable, consistently demonstrating reliability and integrity, people instinctively trust you more.
And that trust leads to
more opportunities, more freedom, access to more capital, greater autonomy. Think of a startup founder taking immense personal responsibility. They build a brand much faster, with more integrity, than some faceless corporation where blame gets deflected.
Their personal accountability becomes like marketing, a signal of commitment.
Exactly. It's fascinating how embracing accountability, maybe paradoxically, means becoming truly irreplaceable. When you're accountable, you are the face, the standard bearer, the ultimate point of contact.
You can't hide behind a team or a corporate structure.
No. And Naval argues many people instinctively avoid accountability to shield themselves from potential failure or public scrutiny.
Understandable, I guess.
But in doing so, they inadvertently block themselves from the enormous upside, the outsized returns, the profound growth that only comes with taking full ownership and putting yourself on the line.
So avoiding the potential downside also means avoiding the potential upside.
Precisely. This willingness to take the hit, absorb the risk, while sharing the reward. It's a universal trait of great leaders and successful wealth builders.
Take the blame, share the credit.
That's the mantra. This integrity attracts loyal followers, top talent, abundant opportunities. Conversely, you simply cannot build massive leverage or a magnetic reputation if you stay anonymous, hide behind others, or use corporate veils.
Your name, your face, your identity, they become leverage themselves.
Literally. Building trust and recognition. Naval even distills this into a concise formula, reinforcing how these concepts intertwine.
What's the formula?
Accountability plus leverage plus specific knowledge outsized success. It underscores that just having great ideas or tools isn't enough.
Yeah.
You must also stand up and say, I did this and I own the outcome.
Wow. Okay, so putting this into practice for you, our listener. First, consciously start putting your name on your work. Blog post, business, project, product, own it. Make it explicitly yours.
Take ownership.
Second, actively accept responsibility for outcomes, especially in leadership roles, no matter how small. Don't deflect blame. This builds credibility faster than almost anything.
Own the failures as much as the successes.
And third, actively seek opportunities where you are in control and explicitly accountable, rather than just seeking roles where you're safe from risk.
Embrace the responsibility. Think of figures like Elon Musk, publicly accountable for Tesla and SpaceX, taking both credit and blame. Or Naval himself, whose name is Angelist, and his investment philosophy, because he put his personal reputation squarely on the line.
Okay, so we have specific knowledge, leverage, accountability, playing the long game. With this foundation established, Naval then turns to what he considers the ultimate meta skills, the overarching abilities that let you combine all these elements into tangible creation and value.
Yes, and this is perhaps Naval's most direct, actionable, and maybe most memorable advice for wealth creation. Learn to build, learn to sell. If you can do both, you will be unstoppable.
Build and sell, that sounds fundamental.
He views these not just as skills, but as foundational meta skills for truly scalable wealth in the modern economy.
Okay, break that down. What does he mean by build and sell?
He brilliantly defines two distinct yet profoundly complementary skill sets. First, the builders. These are the creators of value. Engineers, developers, designers, writers, inventors, product visionaries.
The ones who make the thing.
Exactly. They conceive, construct, refine the products, services, intellectual property that provide the underlying leverage. They own the creation.
Got it. And the sellers.
Then you have the sellers. These are the individuals who excel at communicating and distributing that value. Marketers, influencers, salespeople, effective leaders, compelling storytellers.
The ones who get the thing out there.
Their role is ensuring the value reaches its audience, is understood, is widely adopted, making it scalable. Naval astutely observes most people are strong in only one of these areas.
You're either a great engineer or a great salesperson, usually.
Right. But the rare individual who consciously masters both, who can not only build something remarkable, but also effectively communicate its value and bring it to market, that person has virtually unlimited potential.
Unstoppable.
In his words, unstoppable.
He emphasizes building isn't just coding, right?
Correct. Though coding is a powerful example. It means creating anything scalable. An app, content platform, online community, a recognized brand, an innovative business model.
And selling isn't just closing deals.
No, it's about effective distribution, influence, persuasion. Even the best product fails if no one knows about it or understands its value. Great sellers persuade, pitch, move markets and minds.
What's really insightful is his argument that in our internet-driven world, these meta skills are basically no longer optional for significant wealth creation.
That's a strong claim.
You fundamentally must either learn to build scalable software or learn to build scalable audiences. He urges everyone to pick one or ideally learn and integrate both.
It underscores the modern landscape of value creation and distribution.
So, actionable terms for you, our listener. If you're not naturally a builder, deliberately learn a hard, marketable skill coding, persuasive writing, video editing, design, product development.
Pick a craft.
Conversely, if you're not a natural seller, dedicate yourself to learning to write compellingly, speak publicly with influence, pitch ideas effectively, build an authentic personal brand online.
Develop your communication skills.
You can also strategically partner with people who complement your strengths.
But Naval would still advise you to understand their domain deeply. Don't just outsource it mentally.
Good point. And most importantly, don't wait for a job or permission. Start building and selling immediately, even at a small experimental scale.
Learn by doing. Think of Elon Musk, builder and master seller of his vision, or Jobs and Wozniak was built, Jobs sold. Naval himself invests in tech, build, and built a huge audience via media, sell.
Mastering these meta skills, of course, requires incredibly sharp decision-making and discipline, which brings us to Naval's final crucial meta abilities for wealth, cultivating judgment, prioritization, and patience.
Indeed. Naval views judgment as the ultimate decision-making superpower, especially vital in an age of information overload and immense leverage.
Why judgment specifically?
Your judgment is the compass dictating how you strategically allocate your most precious resources: time, capital, attention, partners, and most critically, where and how you apply that powerful leverage.
So it directs everything else.
Pretty much. He argues it's not about raw IQ or just knowing lots of facts, but a cultivated ability for pattern recognition, honed by experience, and wisdom gleaned from learning across diverse disciplines.
Like connecting dots others don't see.
Exactly. And the impact of good judgment, amplified by leverage, is magnified exponentially. One correct, well-timed decision can win everything. One poor decision, amplified, can be catastrophic.
High stakes. So how do you develop this judgment?
He advises reading widely across vast domains: history, philosophy, science, economics, even fiction. This builds robust mental models, helps you see underlying patterns, avoid rigid dogmatic thinking,
Broaden your toolkit.
and practice first principles thinking, breaking problems down to fundamental truths, not relying on assumptions or convention. Plus, deep, honest reflection on past decisions, good and bad.
Learn from experience.
The actionable advice. Focus on developing clear, unclouded thinking over chasing superficial tactics. And never outsource your most critical, high-leverage decisions. As he says, clear thinkers appeal to their own authority.
Okay, judgment. Next is prioritization.
Which he calls an absolute superpower in our distracted world. This isn't just calendar management. It's managing energy, maintaining clarity on highest aims, and a truly ruthless commitment to what genuinely matters.
Ruthless prioritization.
Knowing definitively what not to do, what to eliminate or ignore, is often far more crucial than knowing what to do.
Why is that so important?
He makes a powerful point. Most things are just noise, distractions pulling us from true objectives. Your ability to filter distractions, say a decisive no to things not aligned with your core focus, enables real progress.
So focus is key.
Focused, singular effort on one high-leverage goal yields exponentially better results than scattered effort. He advocates a deep work mindset, channeling peak energy into singular, high-value activities. The 80-20 rule is a great model here.
Focus on the vital few.
Actionable steps. Design your day to protect peak energy hours for valuable work. Actively manage attention, not just time. Regularly audit commitments, eliminate, automate, delegate ruthlessly.
As he says, the most important skill for getting rich is becoming a perpetual learner who also prioritizes ruthlessly.
And value your time at an hourly rate and ruthlessly spend to save time at that rate. Powerful stuff.
Finally, we arrive at patience.
Yes. Naval concludes the wealth section, emphasizing patience as the absolute, understated secret to compounding, not just financially, but across relationships, learning, skills, reputation.
Compounding takes time.
All truly great returns take significant time. Sadly, most people quit too soon, just before things would have started compounding meaningfully.
So close, yet so far.
He talks about the paradox. Be impatient with actions, but patient with results.
What does that mean?
Approach daily tasks with relentless urgency, energy, commitment. But simultaneously, detach emotionally from the immediate outcome. Understand building deep trust, reputation, meaningful relationships doesn't happen overnight.
Focus on the process, not just the prize.
Exactly. Consistently focus on the process, day after day, year after year. Know that overnight success is almost always years of unseen, consistent effort.
So actionable advice. Stick steadfastly with your vision for years, even decades. Avoid shiny object syndrome, constantly jumping between trends, which kills compounding.
Stay the course.
Track daily inputs, the consistent effort, not just obsessing over slow outcomes. And cultivate profound emotional patience, learn to enjoy the incremental journey itself.
As Neil reminds us, all the returns in life come from compound interest, and that interest only accrues with time.
Okay, so with this rigorous, liberating path to external freedom, doing what you want, when you want established, we now pivot smoothly to the other equally profound side of Naval's philosophy, inner peace.
Because external freedom, he contends, is only half the picture. Without internal liberation, even immense wealth can feel empty, unfulfilling.
A powerful transition. True fulfillment isn't just external resources, but internal contentment.
Just as his approach to wealth fundamentally redefines convention, Naval's insights on happiness are equally profound, maybe revolutionary for many.
How does he start?
He opens by redefining happiness, not as something external you find or pursue, like a fleeting pleasure.
Like buying something new.
Exactly. But as a deeply learnable skill you cultivate internally. It's about consciously training your mind and systematically detaching from desire.
A learnable skill. That's a massive shift from how most of us think about it, isn't it?
Huge. We're often programmed to believe happiness is a destination we reach once we achieve X, Y, or Z, the promotion, the house, the partner, the money.
The I'll be happy when syndrome.
Precisely. But Naval says, unequivocally, happiness is a choice and a skill, like learning a physical discipline or an instrument. It demands consistent practice, heightened self-awareness, and actively reprogramming ingrained, often unconscious mental habits.
He highlights a common trap, too, right? Chasing external success, thinking that brings lasting joy.
Yes, so many people relentlessly chase wealth, status, recognition, believing these will bring fulfillment. But Naval warns, without foundational internal clarity and peace, even monumental external success can feel hollow, fleeting, empty.
He talks about his own journey with this.
He does, acknowledging that even after achieving significant financial success, he realized deep inner stillness and contentment was the true key to genuine, enduring happiness. External wins alone weren't enough.
Okay, so how do we cultivate this internal state?
Here's where he introduces a truly radical idea drawing from Stoic and Buddhist traditions. Desire is a contract you make with yourself to be unhappy until you get what you want.
Wow, read that again? Desire is a contract you make with yourself to be unhappy until you get what you want.
Powerful, isn't it? This concept of desire as suffering. Every time you cling to a desire, you're signing this psychological contract, guaranteeing dissatisfaction or longing until it's fulfilled.
And even when it is.
Fulfillment is often temporary, quickly giving way to a new desire, trapping you in an endless cycle. Reducing desires, therefore, naturally reduces dissatisfaction and increases peace.
So happiness isn't a finish line. It's about present moment awareness, observing thoughts without judgment, managing your internal state right here, right now.
Exactly. Naval implicitly provides a profound happiness formula. Happiness equals presence minus desire.
Presence minus desire. Elegant.
If you're fully present, immersed in the now, your mind isn't chasing a future outcome or dwelling on past regret. And by consciously reducing desires, those "I'll be happy when" contracts, you subtract a major source of dissatisfaction, leading to a more natural, unburdened contentment.
Okay, so actionable takeaways for redefining happiness. First, consciously shift focus from chasing external goals to diligently observing your internal state, thoughts, emotions.
Turn the gaze inward.
Second, become acutely aware when your mind runs on old programming loops of desire, fear, comparison, judgment.
Notice the patterns.
Third, commit to learning how to feel whole and content in the present moment rather than outsourcing happiness to the future.
Find it now, not later.
And finally, consider integrating practices like meditation, journaling, solitude as powerful, non-negotiable tools for cultivating this essential mental awareness.
Build the inner toolkit. This redefinition, shifting happiness from external pursuit to internal cultivation, naturally sets the stage for how one can actively choose to be happy.
Right, not just wait for it.
The core message here is happiness isn't happenstance. It's a deliberate choice, made consciously, repeatedly, every single day. You must actively practice it, like any skill, and diligently identify and remove mental habits blocking your innate capacity for peace.
So it takes effort, conscious effort.
Definitely. He powerfully reiterates external accomplishments, wealth, recognition, possessions only provide temporary pleasure or fleeting excitement. True, profound peace and lasting contentment are cultivated entirely from within.
Regardless of external circumstances.
You possess the agency to choose how you interpret events, frame thoughts, consciously let go of mental suffering, regardless of what the external world throws at you.
He talks about the brain being a habit machine.
Yes. Left to its own devices, its default programming often leads to chasing, comparing, judging, worrying. But he insists, with conviction, it can absolutely be rewired.
Oh.
Through consistent awareness, conscious repetition of new thought patterns, diligent practice of detachment from unhelpful thoughts. It's like a mental muscle you train to consistently return to clarity, calm, peace.
He emphasizes gratitude as a shortcut here too, right?
Hugely. Even in difficult times, you can choose to find gratitude in small things. Gratitude, he explains, is a mental muscle strengthening with use, building your capacity for happiness and resilience.
And that other framework, happiness equals reality minus expectations.
Right. Much suffering arises from resisting reality. By actively shifting from perpetually expecting life to be a certain way to gracefully accepting what is, you dramatically reduce internal friction, bringing ease and flow.
So, actionable steps for choosing happiness. First, make it a deliberate daily practice to explicitly choose happiness. Say it, write it down.
Set the intention.
Second, practice daily gratitude. Reflect on at least 3 specific things you're genuinely thankful for.
Train that muscle.
Third, when negative emotions arise, consciously pause, observe them without judgment rather than reacting impulsively.
Create that space.
And finally, actively work to shift your mindset from expectation to acceptance of reality, reducing internal friction. As Naval says, happiness is a choice and a skill, and you can dedicate yourself to learning that skill and making that choice.
These choices lead us to confront the internal traps Naval identifies as sabotaging our peace, recognizing how we inadvertently create our own suffering.
Okay, what are these traps?
The core message: our unchecked desires, clinging to rigid identities, and ingrained automatic mental habits act as insidious internal traps, sabotaging happiness. Clinging to who we think we are or what we mistakenly believe we need almost inevitably leads to suffering.
He deepens that idea of desire as the root of suffering.
Yes, drawing from Stoicism and Buddhism. Every desire is a self-imposed contract for unhappiness until fulfilled. And fulfillment is often temporary before a new desire arises, trapping us in an endless cycle. His direct quote, "Desire is a contract you make with yourself to be unhappy until you get what you want."
And the identity trap.
He stresses a liberating truth. You are not your identity. We often unconsciously imprison ourselves with self-images, labels, roles, job title, political views, beliefs, status. Identifying too strongly makes us inflexible, defensive, prone to suffering when life doesn't match that identity's expectations.
It makes you brittle.
Exactly. And most behavior and reactions are driven by deeply ingrained, unconscious mental habits. True happiness comes not from controlling habits externally, but observing and interrupting these automatic patterns through awareness, self-inquiry, practices like meditation. Become the observer, not the slave.
He also encourages us to drop the narrative.
Yes. Consciously let go of the incessant internal monologue, the stories about who we should be, what we should have achieved, how things should go. This letting go creates invaluable space for stillness, presence, connection to reality as it is.
So, actionable takeaways to dismantle these traps. First, actively practice desire minimization. Consciously question your wants, detach from outcomes.
Question everything you think you need.
Second, regularly step back. Courageously question your beliefs labeled as self-identifications. Are they helping or harming your peace?
Audit your identity.
Third, learn to catch yourself in those I'll be happy when loops and actively break them with immediate awareness.
Interrupt the pattern.
And finally, diligently use mindfulness to observe mental habits in real time, gently releasing their grip rather than being controlled. As Naval says, you're trapped in your mind, you're trapped in your identity, you're trapped in your habits.
So once we identify these traps, how do we escape and build that enduring mental resilience? It comes down to what Naval calls mental fitness.
Mental fitness, like physical fitness, but for the mind.
Exactly that analogy. He likens the mind to a muscle. Untrained, neglected, it becomes reactive, anxious, chaotic. But with consistent, deliberate effort, you can build remarkable mental clarity, resilience, inner peace.
So mental fitness is actively becoming conscious of thoughts and choosing which to engage with.
Precisely. Choosing which to engage, which to let pass. It's a critical, often overlooked point. We train bodies, careers, but neglect our minds. Naval advocates non-negotiable daily practice, reflection, meditation, gratitude, awareness for genuine mental strength. Not avoiding stress, but building capacity to handle it.
He also clarifies stress comes from our reaction, not the event itself.
Yes, it's our interpretation, our internal narrative, that causes suffering. By managing internal responses, choosing perspective, you reclaim peace and autonomy, regardless of external circumstances.
Because the mind, left alone, just drifts.
Its default is often scattered, fearful, craving, restless. Without deliberate training, we become slaves to our minds. But the good news, you can actively program your mind. Like changing your body, you can change thoughts, beliefs, mental programming.
How do you start?
Start by noticing ingrained negative patterns, then consciously, intentionally replace them with more constructive, empowering ones. He also champions mental minimalism, fewer inputs, fewer unchecked desires, less self-imposed stress, more clarity.
Be intentional about consumption news, social media, conversations.
Absolutely crucial for mental peace. Curate your internal environment carefully.
So, actionable takeaways from mental fitness. First, commit to daily stillness. Even just a few minutes of quiet breathing or sitting.
Start small, but be consistent.
Second, intentionally use affirmations or positive mental scripts to consciously replace self-doubt, fear, limiting beliefs.
Reprogram consciously.
Third, keep a simple mental journal to track frequent thoughts, emotional patterns, bringing the unconscious into awareness.
Observe the patterns.
And finally, actively avoid overstimulation from excessive news, media, constant input. As Naval says, your mind is just a muscle. It needs to be trained, and a fit body, a calm mind, a house full of love, these things cannot be bought. They must be earned through consistent effort.
Building directly on mental fitness, Naval provides a practical daily toolkit. Specific happiness habits for fostering inner peace.
Okay, daily hygiene for the mind.
Exactly, the core message. Happiness isn't chased or stumbled upon. It's designed into your day through intentional routines and rigorous internal hygiene. building a framework for peace.
Like brushing teeth, mental clarity requires daily habits to remove noise, manage expectations, foster emotional balance. It's continuous effort.
And he profoundly emphasizes inputs define outputs. What you consciously consume, media, food, conversations, directly impacts your emotional state. Be incredibly intentional, fiercely protective of inputs for mental peace. Build a robust mental diet.
Because the default mind, undirected, defaults to worry, craving, comparison.
Right. Habits like daily gratitude, stillness, journaling become essential tools to tame this restless, self-sabotaging default mind. They act as anchors.
And he returns to happiness existing now in the present moment.
Repeatedly. True joy isn't a nostalgic memory or future imagination. It's available now if we're fully present. Habits grounding you in the present breathwork, mindful walking, quiet solitude, are powerful tools for immediate peace.
So actionable habits for inner peace. First, daily gratitude journal. Write 3 specific things each morning.
Simple but powerful.
Second, consciously limit social media and news to reduce comparison, negativity, mental clutter.
Protect your feed.
Third, practice deep breathing or simple meditation, even just 5 minutes daily for mental clarity.
Anchor yourself.
Fourth, go for walks alone without headphones. Let thoughts settle, observe the world.
Disconnect to reconnect.
And fifth, choose simplicity. Fewer commitments, possessions, mental tabs open. This exemplifies his mental diet model, minimalism of the mind. As he puts it, a busy mind accelerates the passage of subjective time. A still mind slows it down, and if you're peaceful and happy, the external world becomes peaceful and happy.
These daily habits, practiced consistently, lead naturally to deeper internal practices, particularly meditation, which Naval considers foundational.
So how does he define meditation specifically?
Not just relaxation, though, that happens. It's a profound tool to observe, dissect, ultimately deconstruct your thoughts, creating crucial space between stimulus and automatic reaction, allowing you to see reality clearly, unclouded by mind chatter.
He sees it as pure self-observation.
Exactly. Sitting quietly, watching the mind's flow without judgment, attachment, or needing to change anything. The goal isn't stopping thoughts impossible, but recognizing most are repetitive, unconscious, unhelpful. Consistent practice lets you see these loops and detach, stopping them from controlling your emotions.
And this detachment brings freedom.
Precisely. Meditation reveals you are not your thoughts. You are the conscious observer of them. That separation creates immense freedom, clarity, emotional control. He advises starting small. 5-10 minutes daily. Observe thoughts without reacting. Gently return attention to the present. As he says, meditation is not about achieving anything. It's about letting go of everything. Subtraction.
Which brings us to the parallel concept of self-observation in daily life.
Yes, the ultimate key to breaking habitual suffering patterns in real time. Instead of impulsively reacting to a rising thought or emotion, anger, anxiety, craving, you consciously step back, simply watch non-judgmentally. Creating that space between stimulus and response is where freedom and peace truly begin.
So observing thoughts, emotions without becoming them is the foundation.
It is. Most people are trapped in identity, automatic reactivity, driven by unconscious patterns. Self-observation loosens that grip. The simple act of noticing a thought, calmly thinking, there's anger, dissolves its power. No need to fix or analyze, just observe, acknowledge, let it dissipate.
It transforms interaction with self and world. Without awareness, you react automatically. With self-observation, you choose your response with clarity, wisdom, intentionality.
The mind, with its drama, fears, illusions, progressively loses power when seen clearly, its mechanisms understood from detached awareness.
So, actionable steps for self-observation. First, pause throughout the day, check in with thoughts. What am I thinking? Why?
Make it habit.
Second, practice gently labeling thoughts, emotions. That's anxiety, that's judgment. Create space.
Name it to tame it.
Third, apply self-observation, especially during triggering moments or strong emotions.
Use it when it matters most.
And finally, consistently journaling mental patterns helps bring unconscious loops into conscious awareness, empowering change. As Naval says, observe your thoughts and emotions like a scientist, not a judge.
These deep practices ultimately lead to Naval's broader philosophical grounding, elegantly tying everything together: wealth and happiness.
Okay, what's his philosophical blend?
A fascinating synthesis. Stoicism, Buddhism, evolutionary psychology, emphasizing radical acceptance, conscious detachment, profound self-awareness as the path to inner peace. He's synthesized diverse traditions into a practical framework for modern living.
So, like Stoics, suffering comes from expectations, resistance to what is.
Yes, And like Buddhists, detachment, not clinging to outcomes or identities, and profound presence are key to liberation. He also explores the ego, not a fixed self, but a mental construct, stories, self-images. Peace comes from seeing through this I-voice illusion, recognizing it as a tool, not your whole being.
He's clear truth is found through direct experience, not just belief systems.
Very clear. Warns against rigid ideologies. Prefers empirical approach to internal truths, what you know from your own lived awareness, internal exploration. And in a liberating twist, asserts life has no inherent objective meaning.
That sounds potentially bleak.
He sees it as incredibly liberating.
Yeah.
It means you are completely free, unbound by external expectations, societal pressures, imposed dogmas to consciously create your own meaning, purpose, values. Devolves huge existential anxiety.
Okay. Actionable takeaways from this philosophy. First, study diverse philosophies, but be willing to discard any part not aligning with your lived clarity, direct experience.
Be a critical thinker, even with wisdom traditions.
Second, become acutely aware when ego tries hijacking thoughts. Consciously step back, observe it, don't be controlled.
Watch the ego.
Third, let go of needing life to be fair or predictable. Embrace inherent randomness, impermanence.
Accept reality.
And finally, focus intensely on what's genuinely within your control. Thoughts, actions, reactions, choices, and compassionately let go of everything else. As he says, the closer you want to get to the truth, the more you have to let go of. And the fundamental delusion there is something out there that will make me happy and fulfilled forever.
All these insights and practices culminate in pursuing internal peace. This, for Naval, is the ultimate definition of true happiness. Quiet, unwavering stillness at your core, largely unaffected by external chaos. You don't get happiness. You consciously remove everything blocking its inherent presence.
He believes peace is our natural default state.
Yes, our original programming, only disturbed by unquestioned thoughts, unfulfilled desires, comparisons, mental noise. Happiness isn't found by adding more, it's uncovered, revealed, by systematically removing what's false. Attachments, fears, comparisons, inner resistance.
Peace exists in the present, not past regret or future anxiety. His inner peace formula. Internal peace equals presence minus resistance.
And he provocatively views peace as a negative goal. Achieve it not by acquiring happiness, but diligently removing everything making you unhappy, subtracting sources of internal suffering.
Internal alchemy.
So achieving internal peace. First, start each day with clear intention to stay peaceful, regardless of external events.
Set your internal compass.
Second, when disturbed, pause. Ask, what specific thought is causing this disruption?
Observe it.
Identify the source. Third, practice radical acceptance of people, outcomes, imperfections in self and world.
Let go of resistance.
And finally, constantly remind yourself nothing external is truly required for peace. It's already there, beneath the noise, waiting to be uncovered through stillness, self-awareness. He sums it up. A calm mind, a fit body, and a house full of love. These things cannot be bought, they must be earned. And ultimately, when you're truly at peace, nothing can disturb you, not even your own mind. What an incredible journey we've taken today. Naval Ravikant truly offers this holistic, deeply integrated vision for a well-lived life, connecting strategic wealth pursuit with diligent, internal cultivation of profound happiness.
Yeah, this wasn't just a summary. We sincerely hope it was a distillation of actionable wisdom that resonates deeply with you and maybe sparks a new way of thinking.
It's clear his philosophy isn't about chasing one thing at the expense of another, but intelligently building a life where external freedom supports inner peace.
And inner peace provides clarity and resilience for external pursuits.
Exactly. Becoming truly unstoppable in ambition, while simultaneously cultivating a calm, contented, deeply peaceful mind.
We truly encourage you to reflect on the powerful insights shared today. And as a final thought to mull over, building directly on Naval's philosophy, what single desire, however small or seemingly significant, could you choose to release today that would immediately bring you a disproportionate sense of peace?
That's a good one to sit with. And this deep dive, while we tried to be comprehensive, it really only scratches the surface of the profound wisdom in the Almanack of Naval Ravikant.
Absolutely.
We highly encourage you to support the author, Eric Jorgenson, for compiling it, and delve even deeper by purchasing the book. We've put a convenient link in the description for easy access.
Please do check that out. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive here on BookCast FM.
Bringing books to life, one cast at a time.
Keep learning, keep exploring, and keep growing.